world has been going pretty crazy, and I gotta say the world over these Epstein files and as recent as these emails have been released. Because it was always said that Trump stopped talking to Jeffrey Epstein back in like 2010, 2011. But did he spend Thanksgiving with Jeffrey Epstein in 2017 after he became president? Y'all, Nick Fuentes completely is doing a takedown of not only MAGA, but Donald Trump and the administration. Let's get into this video. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We in for a good one. Of course, before we start, let me just say thank you for everybody for all the love and support. I love talking politics. I love, feeling like I'm educating people. Please go ahead and let me know what other videos you want me to react to or topics you want me to talk about. Let's get to it, y'all. Here we go.
November 2017. That's Trump's first Thanksgiving in the White House. Are you telling me that Donald Trump had Thanksgiving dinner with Jeffrey Epstein when he was the president? Are you kidding me? That is what is in the files, the 20,000 emails that were released yesterday. We don't even have all of them. And this Department of Justice said the files didn't exist. And they knew that this was in them? Really? How do you expect anybody to ever trust the Trump government ever again? You think that you had the right to bury this?
You could never trust it. You could never. There wasn't any time that you could trust the Trump administration. Just like I said yesterday, how can you drain the swamp when you are the swamp?
Wouldn't that be pretty relevant if Donald Trump, as the newly elected president, sat down for Thanksgiving, his first one in office, with Jeffrey Epstein, after his labor secretary, Alex Acosta, recently appointed, was the one that gave Epstein the sweetheart deal 10 years prior? That's not in the public interest. That's a non-existent file. You think the public has no right to know? Why do you think they buried the files? It's because this stuff is all over, and this isn't even all of it. Of course, now we need to see all of it. Of course, now we need to get to the bottom of it. If they were hiding this and they lied about this, that this even existed, what else are they lying about? What else has been destroyed? This is what exists. This is what they did not shred. Understand, Epstein was arrested 20 years ago. You think all those documents are intact? This is what is left.
I want to mention something too, because what we're seeing is like from 2010 forward, before Jeffrey Epstein, I don't even want to say that he unalived himself, but I'll say legally unalived himself. We're seeing that. We're not seeing anything from the case before the 2008 when he was originally arrested. We're not seeing anything prior. So there's probably a lot more information in that one than we do have today, because that was during the time, the 2008, that was when him and Trump were still cool. They were still friends.
Out of the 20,000 files that were released of what is left, you expect the people to trust the Trump government after that? That's like something Trump needs to be subpoenaed for that. Like, obviously, Trump needs to be subpoenaed by Congress. Did you have Thanksgiving dinner with Jeffrey Epstein? Under penalty of perjury, did you have Thanksgiving dinner with Jeffrey Epstein when you were president? Which Trump was Epstein talking about? The public needs to know that, actually. Can this be corroborated? Does he have an alibi? Is this really? How sad is that? After Bill Clinton's indiscretion and his corruption, after George W. Bush and the lie in Iraq, after Obama and all of his corruption, Fast and Furious, the Biden administration, their censorship, the COVID vax, all the lies that happened, the lie that was his presidency, that he was even in control. Is this really what it's come to? That Trump is covering this up, lying about it? Now we have to haul his fat ass before a congressional committee and have him testify under oath that he didn't have dinner with Epstein as president? If that doesn't paint a picture for you of what a sad state of affairs this is, I don't know what does. I don't know what other argument can be made. How pathetic that is. Does that not completely betray the fundamental spirit of what this whole thing is about? Which,
funny, this is a totally different response than Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly was telling us that, oh, well, there's a difference between a 5-year-old and a 15-year-old. Megyn, they're both minors. Nick Fuentes, as much as a bigot, a racist, ignorant as he is, at least he understands that, no, we need to have all these files released, because what are you hiding? Talking about Donald Trump. What are you hiding? I don't think you're trying to protect it, because the conversation is like, oh, Donald Trump is trying to protect the billionaires. You know, he doesn't want the billionaire. No, he's trying to protect himself. When has Donald Trump ever cared about anybody but himself?
is that for 35 years, we don't even know who's in control. And maybe even longer than that. I mean, realistically, ever since JFK was shot in the head, we have no idea who's running this country. There is no sense of legitimacy. There is no faith in the institutions. And why would there be when they always lie and conspire? And when they're always wrapped up in things like this. And Trump is no different. We elected Trump as a reaction to Obama. Obama was elected as a reaction to Bush. What comes after this? And people wonder why I have an appeal. People say, why does this guy have any kind of appeal? Because this is what we have been treated to for my entire life since I was born. That has been the United States of America. I was born in the middle of the Monica Lewinsky scandal, right into 9/11 and the Iraq war, right into Obama, and then all of this. That's why. And every other generation, Z, Gen Alpha, feels the same way. Here's the other interesting email. A 2011 email sent by Jeffrey Epstein says that U.S. President Trump spent hours with one of the victims. The email was sent to Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. It said, quote, I want you to realize that that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. The victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned, Epstein wrote. It's not clear what Epstein was referring to. The email was sent to Maxwell 2 years after Epstein spent 13 months in prison for sex crimes. He describes Trump.
You know what the funny part is? A lot of people, well, let me not say a lot of people, Republicans, MAGA, are trying to spin this, like I said earlier, that, oh, Trump was trying to turn Jeffrey Epstein in. He was working with the feds. And I want to correct something. It was in the early 2000s they stopped being friends. But Trump is the guy who was trying to save people, and he turned Jeffrey Epstein in. That email just proves that he's the dog that hasn't barked yet. That just proves like Trump knew something, but he's not speaking. He hasn't said anything. He's not a hero. If you know about the trafficking that's going on and you don't say anything, you're just as guilty. I'm sorry.
Is the dog that hasn't barked. The dog that hasn't barked. He knew and apparently was present for an extended period of time, maybe on the island where Epstein was assaulting his underage victims. These are the files that Trump knew about, knew his name was in, lied anyway, told us they didn't exist, told them they're fake, it's a hoax, we're falling for it, I don't want your vote. He cries out in pain. Watch how he recoils. Is this how MAGA dies? And think about it. You know, and on some level, here's what's really sad. You want to know what's really sad? On some level, there would be so much more good faith and goodwill, or maybe even a willingness to give Trump the benefit of the doubt if things were going differently, but they're not. There are no mass deportations. 50-year mortgages, H-1B visas. We need the labor, they say. 600,000 Chinese students. We're bombing Iran. We're bombing Yemen. We're building a military base in Gaza. They're getting ready to give Israel $40 billion more dollars. If Trump were delivering on the real victories for Americans, maybe there'd be some benefit of the doubt. Maybe, and you can think this is good or not good, maybe there'd be more of a willingness to overlook this if there was success.
That's definitely horrible to say. Oh, well, if he was delivering on his promises, we would just never mind, sex crimes. Like, what? See, and this is where Nick Fuentes completely loses me. And it's all like, oh, okay, you are that nasty creep bastard that, because, he has a whole cat boyfriend, and we could talk about that a different show. But yeah, the Groypers, they're a weird bunch of individuals.
But this is only the cherry on top. This is only the best part. Not only are we not winning, the deficit is exploding, corporate tax cuts for the rich, bombs in Iran for Israel, foreign aid for Israel, foreign aid for Ukraine. It's endless like this. The cheap labor for agriculture and cheap labor for big tech. It's endless. The failures are endless and they're piling up. It's that. And then on top of it, there's no transparency and rampant corruption. And obviously these things go together. Why do you think it is? Here's the question. Why do you think it is? Let's once again consider the timeline. Elon Musk enters the Oval Office for the last time in the middle of May with a black eye. Remember that? Or did that get memory hold? Elon Musk steps into the Oval Office for the final time in the middle of May with a giant black eye. Trump later commented that Elon was offered makeup to cover it up, but Trump cryptically said he refused the makeup because he wanted people to see it. Real quote, look that up. Elon said that his baby son hit him in the face and gave him a black eye. He was punched by little X, the toddler, who gave him a black eye. Grown man, this is, by the way. And do you remember how that meeting went? It didn't go well. And when Elon left the Oval Office, he went on Twitter and said the reason Trump will not release the Epstein files is because he is in them. Remember that? What happened a week after those comments?
And don't forget, now they're best friends. And just like you guys you've seen that they were at Charlie Kirk's memorial and they were all buddy-buddy with each other again. It's all like, after you say that I was with Jeffrey Epstein or I'm in the files, I wouldn't be your friend. But at that point, Trump, he basically has nothing to lose. He feels that he is untouchable because, again, Elon Musk was saying that he was going to start a new party and all this other stuff. Never did that. Hasn't started one. He's back in good with Trump. So at the end of the day, what's going to end up happening is that they're going to protect each other. That's what it is. Again, like I said, they're a part of the swamp. Let's continue.
Israel bombed Iran. A week after that happened, after that little dust up, Israel bombed Iran. A week after Israel bombed Iran, the United States joined in and bombed Iran. The war started on June 13th, 613. There's 613 commandments in the Mishnah. The Jews believe there are 613 commandments in the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament. So on June 13th, they launched the war. The United States entered a week later. And then when Bibi Netanyahu came to visit the White House to celebrate the end of the war on 7/7, July 7th, it was before that visit that the DOJ released their memo announcing that the Epstein files did not exist and there would be no further investigation. It's interesting timing, wouldn't you say? Interesting bookends.
And my question is, what's going to be the new distraction? Because this isn't going away. What's going to be the new distraction? Now, Nick Fuentes mentioned Iran, but he's trying to start up a war with Venezuela. So I can see that being the new distraction. Now, I hate to put that out there in the universe because, again, no one likes war. No one wants war, especially nowadays. But the whole anti-war president that you guys voted for, he's not anti-war at all. But hey, y'all didn't want to listen. But anyway, there's going to be a new distraction. Some way they get us to stop thinking about the files. Don't forget, next week is the vote from the House where they actually get to vote on the release of the files. So we'll see what happens with that. But this story is not going away. And I'm like that there are people on the right who are calling it for what it is. Fool, you've been trying to hide these files. What are you hiding? Now we have to see it. You know, if Trump just played it cool, like it was nothing, like, oh yeah, we're working on it, and just told people some BS, but you want to call it a Democratic hoax? A Democratic hoax when essentially you were the one and your party was the one saying that we're going to have this released because you were under the impression, oh, there's a whole bunch of Democrats on it. Now that we know that Epstein said Clinton never went to the island, all right, well, who's next? And like I said before, it doesn't have to be a partisan issue. Whoever was there, Democrat, Republican, Independent, you need to go to jail and be held responsible for your crimes. But it's not looking that way. And this is why you're starting to see the retraction of the whole, oh, we need to let it go, blah, 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 because it wasn't what they thought. They thought they was going to see Jay-Z, Beyonce, all the black people. You know they like to throw us under the bus, but it don't look like none of us was there. And on top of that, they thought it was going to be a whole bunch of Democrats. It's not looking like that. Peter Thiel was mentioned. Steve Bannon was mentioned. Michael Wolff, who we know did a whole book on Trump and had hours and hours of recording. It seems like all those people were there. But hey, what do I know? But I'll tell you one thing. We'll find out a lot more after somebody skimmed through all those 2,200, what was it? 20,000 emails? Yeah, more is coming out. We'll definitely know something more. And I don't think that the DOJ is going to tell us anything new. I think it's going to be us, as in me and you, the American people, trying to piece this together and make it make sense. Because again, the Trump administration, they ain't going to help with nothing. They don't want to. And I'm glad Nick Fuentes is destroying MAGA, destroying Trump, the whole administration, because they need to be held accountable. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank y'all for checking out this video. Deuces, everybody.